think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't.
It's
just a fact. It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field right now, right?
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
So cool. This is Mornings with Matt, the Daring Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mornings with Matt show. Welcome back, I should say. It's 2021. We missed you.
You missed us
so much.
too.
We missed doing this show. So we are back. We're starting off the new year here with a little bit of a new format, just so everyone knows. So we're going to be starting off with a couple different segments here that we're going to do in every episode. And big news, we got Brian Sweeney back.
Hey! The man, the myth, the legend.
Yo, it is so good to be back, boys. So good to be back.
Dude, you're handsomer than you were. What happened?
Joey's cooking some good meals. That's a big part of it. No.
Maybe it was the blood draw.
It was, dude, getting back over here. I had a moment with you where you came in and just was so grateful to be back in the space.
Yeah.
And this just hit me, but I just want to share it. Like, I came over and I just wept, like, to just the fact that I got to be here and that we were blessed with all the things we were blessed with, each other, this space, the ability to help people. And I just got on my knees and just wept and just thankfulness, it was just so amazing. So,
Will you cry for us right now? Would you mind? Just kidding. But we are going into emotional triggers soon, so Brian will be teaching everyone how to do that.
I will.
On cue.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you're right. It was this realization of gratitude and I was right with you. I was just sitting there going like, I told you this. I forgot how much I missed having you here.
Yeah.
That it was like, I can't even tell you. You walked in the room and this new energy came about me. So, all right, well, we got to stay on time here. So we're gonna jump into this first bit here. So, Joey, you sent us a text message this morning.
Yes, I did. I did send a text message this morning.
Yeah.
To our little group chat. Little group chat between me, you, and Bri.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I'm gonna read this. Somebody sent us this on Instagram. So Joey shared this with us, and there's been a lot going on in the world, okay, and I'm gonna go into that a little bit here in a minute about what's going on and how it's been affecting us and whatnot, and what we're gonna do about it to get through some of these times. But somebody sent us this. It says, God is telling you today to be still. Stop stressing yourself of what is going on. Stop figuring it out with your own understanding. Stop fighting for it because it's yours already. God is saying, leave that to me to handle. I thought that was really great, this idea of letting go. And letting go going into goal setting is a really, really great thing. So, all right, here's our first segment. Brian Sweeney's going to start us off with a Bible verse.
All
We're
right.
going to kind of connect that Bible verse into what we're going to be talking about for the day. So go ahead, Bright Guy.
All right, we got Philippians 3:13, 4, and it's 13 and 14. Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining forward what is ahead. I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me, heavenward in Christ Jesus.
Okay, there we go. A little Philippians here. So what are these, like, these two pieces of information? Okay, we get this from Joey. We get this Bible verse this morning that we're called to. Okay, so what's the idea here? I'm going to tell you that, and I'd like you to talk on this in a minute, Brian, from your perspective in the hospital. But for me, it was pretty darn tough the last 3 weeks. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't seem to be getting better this year.
Sure.
You know, and I said that for a long time. I was like, you know what, everybody, we shouldn't be like wishing 2020 to be gone. That's such a silly idea.
Right.
As if like the turn of the day is going to all of a sudden make everything better. It doesn't. It's not how it works, right? And so there's all the unrest with the election and how that went down. And no matter how you look at it, it doesn't sit well with anybody. And then there's the whole unrest that happened at the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal, right? There's this complete polarization between people right now, and that seems to be getting sharper and harder. And then this new political establishment seems to be coming in, and they're now censoring everybody. And they're doing things that remind you of really terrible times in history.
Yeah.
So it's this time of, like, if you allow yourself, it's this time of fear. It's this time to be like, okay, and this is what happened to me, is I got really stuck to the media, which I'm always anti. I'm anti the news, anti all these things, and I was like, I need to know. I've got to be informed about these things, because if there's going to be a major like twist of some kind, I want to be kind of on the front lines, right? Well, realistically and honestly, and I'm willing to admit, I always would like to admit my own faults. I got addicted to it. I got addicted to being down in the hole and down into the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theories, and like, because I just wanted a way out.
Sure.
I wanted an earthly way out of all this stuff. And the truth is that I'm not going to get one.
Mm-hmm.
This is a God thing.
Yeah.
Right? God's got everything. He's under control. Like, it's fine. If the pendulum swings really hard one way, we have to trust that there might be a time of suffering, but we're gonna come back.
Yeah.
The pendulum always swings back.
Yeah.
So, going back to like my own like personal self here, one of the reasons why I was feeling down, because I was feeling very down, was because we had 3 weeks off essentially from classes at night, and I had all these goals and I had all these like visions of what we were going to do and accomplish and how far ahead we were going to be in different things, and I wasted a tremendous amount of time worrying and being in a state of anxiety and wanting to know an answer on my time.
Yeah. No, it's that's one of the things that is really outspoken about the Bible, is it's all in God's time. There's so many verses about that. I was listening to this pastor, and it really related to me, because he was saying, like, with the churches being shut down and having to go live, and like people not getting that fill that they're used to, people suffered with that. And he was saying that, like, modern day churches, you know, they've turned into this cruise ship church, which is basically, you know, everybody hop aboard, get your fill, like, have fun, have community, remember God, you know, we'll talk about him a little bit, and then you go into your week and like everything's good. And right now, he was saying that we need to shift into battleship churches. You know, you gotta be ready to be to preach that word no matter what. You know, to talk about the importance of connecting to spirit, whatever that may be for you. You know.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, you could talk about it from the hospital. You've had plenty of crazy stories of God talking to you, tapping you on the shoulder through all this hardship of like, hey man, I got you. You know, you got to learn this lesson, and then you'll get out of there, and then don't have to be worried anymore. Like, my hands are around you, right?
Yeah, it's well, there you're also continuously. It's funny. You're waiting on test results for this or that can get you here or there, and that was one of the big, like, when you're sitting down and going through. Coming out of here, I had no idea how much media I had watched. I was like, that's insane, and I just sort of realized that we don't have to put it on us. It's like, does it no good? It's just like, what does it do? Like, we're just gonna worry more, and if we just kind of live in the moment, it's very close to acting. If we live right in this moment right now, trusting that God's there and God's present and there's a reason for it.
Yeah, living in the moment, that is such a huge thing, and being present in what you're doing right now. That is the key. So there's this idea of setting goals so that you know where you want the ship to go, where you're hoping it might go, or just so that you have some kind of a direction. And I think that we're going to talk about this in our next segment, but it's going to come back to the why. You got to have a strong why. And the thing that I'm worried that people are not talking about enough, that we've been talking about since day one, is the residual effect of this pandemic, and now this isolation that's being forced upon people, the covering of our mouths, this abrupt change to being sort of like held down. It feels like the effect of this on people, on kids, psychologically, and it's finally being talked about. But the obesity rate is going up, suicide rate is going up, the amount of domestic abuse is going up, children being abused is going up. And I'm talking about a lot. Like in New York, in the 90%. 90-something% rate, the murder rate went up. Okay. And so you look at that and you go, okay, we're doing something wrong.
Sure.
Because whatever we're trying to fix, our cure for it is causing more damage. Okay. So we got to make adjustments. Like, things cannot keep going in that way.
And that's part of what being open is good for you. You know, you talked about with the media, like, understanding when to stop, when to keep watching to stay informed, right? And as Christians, as people with big hearts and who want the best for people, you know, that's our job, is to understand what's going on and pray for those people. You know, pray for those kids, pray for the teenagers who have been virtual for months and have been stuck in their houses, and some are in great condition, some are not, because, you know, some people's family lives suffer there. And a lot of people are hurting, and that's what we pray for. We pray for those people to find peace, to find a outlet, to find joy, which is what we try to provide. And I think that's, like, I'm so stoked to have people back in for classes today, because the energy that brings, you know, they come in and they just release all of that.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you on that. Like, I'm very happy for them, and I'm extremely happy for us that we get all those people. But this brings me back to one of the points I wanted to make here, and I'm curious, Brian. I'm going to ask you about your personal connection to this. But here I can tell you that through that time, okay, this last, like, say 3 weeks, we haven't had people coming in. Okay. So there's been, for me, more isolation. There's been less things I, quote, had to do because they're on the schedule. So now I have this different amount of free time that I filled with a lot of worry and anxiety, and I filled with a lot of, you know, just things kind of pouring into my head, making me feel bad. And I'm biased, but I believe I've got a beautiful wife and a wonderful marriage. I've got kids that fill me up, like a lot of things that are so good, and yet I was feeling so sad, right? And I was fighting it day in and day out. So not only do we want to pray for these people, but we want to admit that we are these people.
Yeah,
we're in it, to the point where I'm going, like, at some times I was feeling like physically exhausted from my fear.
Yeah.
100%.
And we get to the point where and this is what I'm curious about, Brian, because you have now in your lifetime experienced so much pain, so much hurt.
Yeah.
Right. And I know we're here for a commercial break here, Joey. So we'll go on commercial break here in a second. I'll have Brian answer this.
Yeah,
when we get
of course,
back.
of course.
So after the break, I want you to dive into this idea of like, is there ever a time, honestly, when you were sitting there and you were like, enough's enough? Like, did you ever want to give up, even though you didn't? Did you want to? And I want to talk about that because I think that it's more common than people realize. I think that people that you think are invincible have these same thoughts, and so to acknowledge that we all kind of live in this space, but to know how to get out of it, there's really only one way. We'll talk about that in 1 second. All right, we're going in for a commercial break here real quick, and we'll be right back.
Alrighty. Bum, bum, bum.
Or we're not going for a commercial.
A couple minutes of your time, I got a few things I'd like to talk to you about.
It was a way for us to get more comfortable listening to each other.
We're gonna go back and be more confident than ever.
We teach self-development, and we use acting to do that.
Did you always have a performer inside you?
It was something that I knew I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and I knew this was my thing.
You stress that in that book that you have to have a plan every day and follow that plan. It's strikingly similar to the same things we talked about in business.
We had a really good time. The staff is amazing. We had some great group activities, learned a lot about ourselves individually, so highly recommend coming here.
Nothing I'm going to tell you is going to be revolutionary because it's just the truth. Anybody who speaks the truth, period.
Governor Josh Ducey.
Because the plane's taking off every day. That's what I've decided. The plane of success is taking off, and I don't want to miss my flight.
I was going to talk about how I have used improv in engineering and in my work. What I learned from you is get out of your head. This class and the studio has made such a huge positive impact on my life, and I cannot thank you enough.
We're trying to help you work on you.
So today at Daring Studios, you're gonna learn how to be confident, how to have a voice, and use your voice.
What I love most about Jada coming to this place and being able to be a part of this family is that it just makes her more comfortable in her skin.
To go whenever.
Alrighty, welcome back, everybody, from our commercial break here. Right before the commercial, we were talking about those thoughts that you have in your mind sometimes when things are down, and how do you pull yourself out of that space? And the truth of the matter is how hard things have been for all of us. Somebody reminded me of this, that it can always be worse.
Yeah.
There could always be somebody worse, right? So for Joey and I, for a lot of people, we would just be like, well, we could be in Brian's shoes.
For real.
Sure, 100%.
That was a really easy comparison to make at the time.
But then for you, it could always be worse too, right?
Definitely.
So I just want to talk about that honesty, because you dealt with not only the isolation of the mind, but literally physical isolation.
Yes.
You know? And so I'd like you to go there really quick and just talk about what that process was like, and maybe how you got yourself out of it, or if you were experiencing those kinds of feelings.
100%. Honestly, beforehand, I thought I'd kind of understood with the pandemic what people were going through with isolation and like being by themselves, but I had no idea until I fully experienced it by being alone, by being like literally having nobody there. I lost track of days.
Yeah.
Like straight up. I didn't know what I missed all the holidays, and I was sitting there and just like feeling like I was going to break, and I just don't understand. Like, and I came to God, and I would try and find moments where I'd go, why is God doing this to me?
Yeah.
Like, why is this happening? And it helped. It definitely helped to come to him, and that was a big part of the process. But I also just like I needed to let it out and talk to you guys and be there. And I cried more over this trip than over this trip. Over this,
it felt like a trip.
It did, over this time than I have ever, because I just like there was so much sitting there, so much pain, and so that's where I was at, and I just feel like that's like.
Well, you can share with our audience too, by the way. You can cry now. The thing is, and I give Joey the credit on this as well, because Joey was so good about hearing it in your voice and then giving you permission to relax.
Yeah.
And let your real feelings be, because as you express the truth, it's so freeing, right? And you guys know this. It's my MO.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I
it
live
was
in
like
that
a
space.
tingling feeling.
You don't
like
believe in holding anything back, and that was something I was gonna share. So it's funny that you brought that up. But this idea that I had never really heard you cry before.
I've never done it like at all.
Yeah, but not in front of me, especially. Like you had that wall up where I never got to see that side of you. And one day you broke down, and Matt was with me on that phone call, and I started to listen for it and hear it, because I could tell that day, I was like, this is something he hasn't done with me. This is good for him. And Matt had said that on the phone, so I remembered that specific statement, this is good for him. And I kept listening for that, right? Because that's something you can learn. And that was what was so beautiful, is this thing that you had hidden for so long. Like Matt said, I believe it was God, not me, but I could hear it. I could see it in your eyes and in your voice, and I would tell you, like, let go, Bo. Let go. Like, it's okay to cry with me on the phone, because you have to let that out. There's a lot of feeling there, right? And it was a beautiful experience watching you do that. And as hard as it was to see you crying, because I hadn't done that before, it was empowering. Because I was like, he's working through it. Like, God's got his back, and he's releasing, all this weight. You just, when you were crying, you let it go.
So, and to paint the picture for everybody, Brian's in the hospital here for, let's just call it 3 months, really. And because of the pandemic, there's no way to see him. He's not able to receive any visitors, zero. People could go and like knock on a window like he was like in a bubble, wave at him, but zero human contact with the people that he knows. And that can get to you.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah.
That sense of isolation. So did you hit a break? Was there a point when your mind was like you wanted to stop fighting physically?
Yes, absolutely. Like that was that moment with God, like why me? And I just was like, oh, I was just ready to just stop. To
Like
just
take me.
Like yeah, like I'm done with it. This is like the third time this is happening, and like in physical form, and like I can't see anybody. I'm alone. Like I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not many other words other than just there was so much pain of just, and I just was like, okay. And then everything after that, there was even a mini visit where I came out. I think I was just like not even cherishing the moments because I was just like, all right, like here we go again.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. And I never even said that out loud.
Right.
Like I just never said it out loud. And there's, I think, a difference between in this moment being, being like David talks about David being a man after God's own heart.
Yeah.
The difference between being nice, and just honest also and loving. Like there's nice is not just you smiling all the time. That's not what that is. It's something else. And that was my break. My break was like, was painful. It was painfully like, all right, it's just whatever. Like, and then, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point, what fixed it and helped big time were your kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Your
Well,
kids and-
we should talk about that now, so we can transition to the next section here. But so let's just dive right in. So here you're in this you're in these low points, and understandably so. And honestly, I'm in a low point, understandably so. What it is it's suffering. It's human suffering, right? And then what we do is it's like it depends on how you frame it to yourself and what you do, how you take personal responsibility. So I for instance, you told me, you know what, dude? I realize I haven't been taking responsibility for my own life.
Yeah.
That's what you said to me.
Yeah.
You said, I haven't been taking I'm going to start taking responsibility for my own medicine, for my own food, for my own exercise, for my own mental state. And that's the day it shifted for you. Because you made the choice, and it was you. It wasn't some Ruth Layton coming and bringing you a meal, or, you know, as wonderful as it is when people were taking care of you, you would become dependent upon that.
Yeah.
And that will go.
Yep.
But your own spirit, what you have inside you, that's yours. You get to be that, right?
Yeah.
You don't need anybody else to
Yeah.
have your own strength, right? So from that place, you found what was important to you. And that's how you found this thing we were doing with my kids, where Brian started calling to the house, FaceTiming, and just talking to my kids. And, you know, he doesn't have anybody, right? In the hospital, he didn't have anybody to talk to. And my daughter, the first night, she sat there on the phone with you for like an hour and a half.
It was amazing.
And what's funny is she's a little girl. She likes to talk.
Yeah.
You know, so she's playing dolls and telling you how she's drawing, and, you know, and she's having a blast because she's not allowed to have a phone. So
Yeah.
just to be on the phone with Uncle Bunny, and she still calls you Bunny, which is the cutest
I
thing.
love that. I love that.
It's something that now they look forward to every night. It became this new tradition, and is something that probably will deepen your relationship with them for life. That would not have happened had you not gone to the hospital.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there's this relief that happens. I'm going to tell everybody this, and because this is going to segue us to goals, okay? Because I know we're going to talk about goals, but I wanted to talk about all the junk. I couldn't ignore the fact that life has been hard recently for me, which makes me assume it's been hard for you, and for you, and for you, and for you. So knowing that, understanding it, and saying it out loud, I think is important. So when you said that, when you said I'm taking responsibility, I need you to know what happened to me when you said that. I got fired up because you said you were going to take responsibility. That made me want to support you. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, along the same lines here, and Joey, we're going to go to commercial here in a minute.
Awesome.
Along the same lines here, I know for a fact because I saw it in Joey's energy. I saw it in his body language every time I've said it out loud. When I said the words, I got myself addicted to the media. I saw him go, oh, like, thank God he knows.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
It's
100%.
but that only comes from me taking responsibility for me. If I try to hide it, blanket it, try to make excuses for it, it doesn't help anybody. Okay? So how do you get yourself out of this? How do you really turn the corner? Well, A, you make a decision, okay? B, you turn to God and you go, okay, let me get to my center. Let me get to this middle space and make it just about, like, not about the world, but about, like, what's going on in here, okay? And then third, I do believe in fighting back. You know, there are some attacks that are happening right now on a spiritual level, and I believe in attacking back. And how do we attack back? We attack back with love, and we attack back by not ignoring it and by being honest and truthful, okay? So now by being truthful, what I realize is I'm going, okay, through my suffering, through my pain, through my, like, new mini media addiction for 3 weeks, what did I do? I selfishly removed this show from other people's lives, those who maybe needed to hear it. That's on me. And I was like, no more, Matt, no more can you be selfish. You got to get on the air. You got to do your thing. You got to help people. You got to connect with Brian and Joey. Like, this has got to happen because we have a very specific mission. Our why is to spread light and love throughout the planet. Well, you can't do that when you're on your phone looking at media posts all the time.
Yeah.
Because you're too depressed to wake up early and do all the things you know have to get done in order to go to meet that goal, right? So it comes back to the why. If you don't have a why, writing goals are irrelevant. You have to have a why or you're always going to give up on your goals. All right. In our next section, we're going to dive a little bit into goal setting and some of the ways that we goal set and how we recommend that you do so and stay consistent with doing that throughout the year. We'll be right back. 1. Get out there. Chapter 2. Get organized. Chapter 3. Build your team. Chapter 4. Brand yourself. Chapter 5. Be a producer. Chapter 6. Run the business. Chapter 7. Be a great actor. Let's dive right into auditioning because I know that was the thumbnail specifically, and I'm fascinated to talk to you about this because we do casting. Right. I've been competing against you since I started acting, and then I made some transitions and whatnot, and you're one of the best auditioners I've ever seen ever.
Wow, that means a lot. Thanks. That's really nice to know because you know how it is in auditioning. We get no feedback.
None.
When you audition.
Yeah.
You just throw the ball out there and you hope that somebody will catch it. Is that a good metaphor? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you know you're good when you have somebody come into the casting room and then the casting director's like, hey, so if you could just do what the guy before you did. And that's happened like 4 times when you come in where you'll do some creative move and then the next person will go in and they'll be like, when they get to direction, they'll be like, what if you just did what he just did?
Yeah, well, you do it enough. Like you just thank you. I appreciate it.
We have to have a solid memory in order to put up a play.
That was 100% the right choice.
The moment you realize you're stuck for a sec, stop and literally take a breath. You have to react to that from his point of view as honestly as possible.
I tried to explain.
I don't want you to think about getting through the monologue. Yes.
Let's go!
Because my job isn't to work the monologue. My job is to work on you.
It's not about how many classes are on the resume. It's about your work ethic and persistence.
Who's further along than they were when they walked in the ring?
We want the world to hear this. We want this to get out. This is why we do what we do.
That felt like the most honest thing I've ever done as an actress.
It was like entering like a new world.
It was like draining and exhausting, but in a good way, you know?
It just feels so good to just feel the growth, the true growth all the way around.
We made a lot of discoveries, like lots of discoveries.
I feel like you give me permission as a coach to go all the way.
I just know what we do. It makes me so proud. And so like I want to make sure everything's perfect.
My hope is that this class opens everybody up as a person and you become a better actor in the process.
All right, we are back. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so we've been talking about how hard everything was, of course, and is right now. The fact that we're personally pulling ourselves out of our bootstraps, and we're hoping that you're going to do the same thing. And the last thing mentioned was you got to have a strong why. And I think you found a strong why, Brian, to get up and get out of the bed, you know. And it was like this idea of gratitude and being back and finding a way to contribute. Like we felt this for a long time. There's more that you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And from you taking accountability and you now taking a new responsibility for your life, every part of it, that is going to add to this transition of from suffering into the understanding of suffering. So then you'll have something to really help people with.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And then you can sort of like let yourself release, like the thing I've done in my past, again, responsibility wise, like these things will all happen. And I mentioned this to the troop the other night, and then a few months later, whatever it is, it's then back to normal, you know, back to the just standard every single day. And you're not grateful for what you have. You're not taking responsibility for the things that you can. So like in the hospital, that meant just getting up out of that hospital bed and just like walking. If I had to walk in circles, like, and I'm not annoying the nurse, like all these things, like just get yourself up, like take responsibility for you and your why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was cool. You talked about your talk with the troop, but I asked Brian when we were going to get his medicine. He was so thankful to be in the car, and we went twice because we got there and then they were like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like, we'll shoot you a text, and we decided to go make dinner, and it took a couple hours. But he was so grateful to be in the car, and I said, what's your big takeaway from being in the hospital to coming home? Like, what's your takeaway?
Yeah.
And he thought about it for a second, and that was what he said. He said, treating every day as a blessing. And that's something I think a lot of people say, but not many people live out. And I told him, especially in our business, especially with what we do here, that's so important, because it can feel like a, copy-paste job with what we do. You got class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all at the same times. It's kind of runs. You do stuff in the morning. We have this awesome show. And if you're not careful, if you don't take that time with God, if you're filling your time with media and other things, whether that be shows, movies, whatever, you start to lose track of that. And so I was so empowered by that. It inspired me when he said that, because I was like, that is the biggest takeaway you could have gotten.
Well, you take that and put it right into setting your goals, and each one, like, specifically. That's where, like, you got to look at it and know exactly what's going on. And let's say we've got all these things set up. Things will be changing. Things will be continuously changing. But you got to have your master, I think, goal, and just know where you want to, like, take it. That's kind of something that I saw as well, was this idea of realizing, like, what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And what we want to do. So,
well, okay, and so as the world is adjusting right now, and that's what's happening. I think a lot of big things are going to happen in the next couple weeks. I believe this. I think there's going to be more disruptive events, and that people are going to be awakened, so to speak, to like, whoa. There's more going on. There's more underneath the surface here that I need to look at, and I can tell you right now that that this country is strong, that we are strong, and we are resilient. And so, for the things that seem to be luring on the surface, the one thing to remember is to go, okay. Let me look at what's real, what's not real, and then let me try to find, in the smallest way, how can I make a dent? And if there are new rules, okay. If there's a new playbook, okay. Now let me go learn those rules, and then let me compete in that arena, okay. So this is like a company that doesn't ever switch to the internet.
Right.
And okay, well, and they're like, it's not fair. You know, these guys have a competitive advantage. Well, yeah, it's not fair. So we're going to compete. Right. And this is why everybody got, and I, by the way, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. I think we're going to go into a little bit of this, the idea of the censorship and like how we're going to personally handle it. But there's this thing, you know, where, and this is why everyone got so up in arms, was because all of a sudden, like, the competition did come up for these other companies, and then they squashed it back down again. And so then it becomes, wait a minute, we don't feel comfortable with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, people want transparency. Like, that's really, we need truth.
Yep.
We should all be fighting for truth. And that's what you're going to get here. You're going to get the truth. So in your own life, here's what you need to do right now to set your goals and set yourself up for success this year. Is set goals, but one of your goals has got to be to continuously be setting goals. That should be number one. You should always be checking on them and finding ways to refine those goals for the situation that you're in. So if I can be very honest again, going back to my 3 weeks of blah, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't refining my goals. As a matter of fact, Joey's like, I want to talk about goals today because it's like first back. It's time for Brian to take a pill. You know, first show back, I want to talk about goals in the new year. And I'm like, dude, okay. Thank goodness I was up at 3:30 this morning. I did my goals this morning. I told him, I was like, I can't talk about goals unless I've done them. I'm a hypocrite if I do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I sat down, I blasted through my goals, and I felt so good afterward. But then I realized, like, man, like what were you thinking? You knew you wanted to do this back in December 28th, before January started. It would have given you reminded you of your why, because it's all about keeping your eyes on the why. Okay? So when you do your framework for goals, you want to start here. You want to start big. You want to start with long term. Okay? Here's some dream goals. So like, you guys want to maybe share a dream goal, but I've like one of my dream goals, because I'm an Arizona kid. I've lived here forever. I don't love the Arizona summers. They're just kind of brutal.
I don't think anybody does.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people are like, I just really despise them.
Sure.
Okay. So one of my goals is literally to be gone from Arizona for 3 months in the summer when it's miserable here, and go someplace beautiful, a beautiful destination with my family, invite friends there, something like a lake house, and just be away. That's a goal. That's like a dream goal that's out there. Okay. So do you guys have one? Do you guys have a dream goal? Like it's like a big one?
A huge dream goal.
Yeah, like that. Like one that's like out there. Like for me to just be not doing the studio or not being here for 3 months, that's a pretty big goal. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You
yeah.
can think about it if you don't have one off the top of your head.
I mean, I haven't figured out exactly how it looks, but there's something super big that just goes with going down the river more often, being with the family, like in that 4th of July type trip. So, it's definitely connected to summer. So just out of here in the summer, honestly. I know you said it, but
Same idea then. Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
For
Joe.
me, it's I want to do something with sports, like in a big way, right? So I wanna have a voice in the sports industry, specifically with football, but I like basketball too. But just to where people are watching, listening to what I have to say, because I feel called to that. I really enjoy it, and I'm not an expert in that field. I didn't go to college for that sort of thing. I didn't ever play football, but I do understand it. So it's interesting. That's definitely something I want in the future, is to have people listen, like have a say when it comes to sports and football. So
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Good. So so number one, we set this big goal. Okay. So for me, it's this 3 months away from Arizona. And it's got to be specific too, so you guys can like keep working on your specifics.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Okay, but that's what happens when you write it down. That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a picture in my mind. It's 3 months, 90 days, away from Arizona. It's got to be a beautiful destination of my dreams, with my family, inviting my friends. To be this place. Now, eventually, I'll probably find the place that would be my dream, and I can put that down on paper. Okay, good. So then the next thing you do after the dream is you go, okay, let me dial it down a little bit and go, where would I have to be 5 years from now for that to be true? So for me, for this one goal, it's like all those beautiful like little detail words that I said are all true, but then I say 21 days. 21 days. Okay. Then it's like, okay, let me boil that. I'm sorry. No, my 5-year goal is 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So it's like basically half of that time.
Okay.
Okay. This year, I'd like to get to where I hit the 3-week mark, the 21-day mark. So now, whether I hit that or not, I got to then go deeper and deeper and more specific and more specific. So now, one of my goals for this month, for January, is to plan my summer vacation. I haven't taken a summer vacation. I can't tell you how long it's been. It's been years.
Yeah.
Years and years. Where I've planned it and did something specific. And it's usually because my wife and I keep making kids. That's part of the that's part of the problem. But really, like it's something. So then it's like, okay, I want to plan it and pay for it by the end of the month. By doing that, I'm stuck to it.
Yeah.
Get it done ahead of absolutely, and it's done ahead of time. Like it's done.
And I'm stuck to it. I can't not do it when it doesn't because it's never going to be convenient to do that thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, you don't have the money. Well, okay, fine. Then do 7 days. Do 5 days. But do something.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you'll never get to that next thing. Right.
So quick question there. So do you recommend then, because that's kind of what it sounds like to me, starting with the big dream goals, like you said, and then working your way backwards to today?
Yes.
What do I have to do today to get there in 5 years?
Right.
That's how you.
That's how I
go
do it.
through
But
Okay.
I whittle it down to really big, to kind of big, to okay, big but achievable, and then down to the day, then down to the month, the week, the day, and it's like, okay, if you're not thinking about it, if it's not on your mind, because what you think about comes true. If you're not thinking about it, it's not gonna happen for you. So what do you need to do? How do you put that in play? And then you find a way. It's what's the so interesting thing about it. It's like all of a sudden it'll be on my schedule as something I have to do to plan my summer vacation that I haven't taken in 4 or 5 years.
And that should be, I imagine, all the way around, like with all the pieces. Well, you look at your that's your big huge goal that's in this one spot, but that would be in everything. That would be
That's
like,
right. That's
so
just
for
the
our
very first
studio,
goal.
that'd
Yep.
be like for all the things.
That's right.
And then you kind of like, and in our beautiful, wonderful situation, help each other achieve each of those goals, both personally and in the business.
What's beautiful when your goals intertwine with other people.
Yeah.
And when you can connect and be on the same page and be looking, like if I know what fills you up and you know what fills me up, we can support each other in those things and be happy to let the other person have the thing that fills them up. If it doesn't fill me up, like, what does it matter? Right?
Yeah.
So I don't need to be a part of everything that you're doing. You don't need to be a part of everything I'm doing, but you could be supportive and grateful and happy for me or whatever if I'm getting one of my goals that I've got that I'm put out there, right? And then this comes back to this mastermind idea, which is a totally different episode we'll do on mastermind. But if you have a collective group of people that all benefit from the idea and they can all benefit from the thing coming true and everyone buys into it, they all understand their why, you can really do something extraordinary. And that's what we're trying to do here at the studio. That's what we are doing here at the studio, is we are connected to this one vision of spreading light-driven content to the planet and teaching light-driven like sense of self and helping people honestly draw closer to God and to Jesus Christ specifically.
Mm-hmm.
We are open to that in our classes, in our programming. It is something where we're never going to be exclusive of anybody, but we will speak our truth from how we know it.
Definitely.
You know, and I mean, I'm so open. I do a show with Paul. We do a show with Paul called Divine Roots, and he's not Christian,
right?
But he's spiritual, and I get to question him, and I love questioning him. I think he's a very smart dude, and I think that he's in a lot of ways further spiritually than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I also still believe in Jesus Christ. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Stay curious. It's your lesson.
And stay curious. That's right.
Well, and that's the thing about religion that's so interesting is, you know, no matter what way it calls to you or you believe it, there is that center of love and of a higher power, of trust in something that you can't see, right?
Still time to
Still
take your
time
pills.
to take the pills.
Yeah, maybe don't delay the alarm this time. Maybe just like
thought
shut
I
it
shut
off.
it off.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that idea of that's exactly what we do. You know, we're Christians and we have to speak from that place. Otherwise, we're not being truthful.
That's right. Otherwise, we're dishonest.
But we are inclusive of those people, and those people tend to fit in because no matter what religion you practice, you all have this center value of we believe in a higher power, whatever that may be, right?
Yeah, well, and we steer you. We're gonna. There's a reason you're drawn here.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not drawn here based on what we're talking about, you're not drawn here.
Yeah,
and then one day you will be, maybe. And if that's the case, then like come. You know what I mean? But if something's just nagging at you, going like, I got to try that out. There's a reason for that. I believe there's a reason why everybody walks through these doors here.
Dude, down to the smallest detail. Like you said, people are coming here, and even all the way down to like this, like if you wake up earlier than when you were expecting to wake up, you're the king of that. I mean, that happened to me this morning, and I've just felt so much better this morning. Like, way better having gotten up earlier than expected, because it was just a small teeny little voice, but it was like told me to do that. Told me to do that little tiny thing. And when you've got all your goals set up that are there, then you'll be able to do it. One of my struggles is because I don't have all this laid out yet, and I'm still kind of figuring out me. Like I sat there and went, what do I do now? Like I woke up. I'm not gonna just go back to sleep. It's 3:45. I'm just gonna do my thing. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Right? And I think those little voices like don't have that cup of coffee. Whatever.
So I'll tell you then today, and this goes for anybody. Just do the goals. No excuses. It took me an hour this morning. I honestly didn't want to do it. I tried to get out of it. I was like, Joey, I'm gonna look at the. I was like, is it too late to change the topic? And he's like, I could, I guess, you know, whatever. And I was like, no, let me see if I can make it work. But I couldn't. I believe in not being a hypocrite. So I couldn't talk about goal setting, having not done my goals. And yet at the same time, I couldn't talk about goal setting and not admit that I did my goals this morning.
Sure.
Okay. But then, like you're saying, like you feel better, you're gonna feel great. So no excuses. Right now, I'm gonna hold you to this, and everybody else out there, I'm gonna hold you to this as well. Do them today. So tomorrow on the show, like commit right now. I'm gonna do it today. So tomorrow on the show, you're like, I have a goal. I have all my goals. They're done for the month. Not not forever. Like just so I know my direction, because it'll pop you out of bed.
Yeah.
You have to be pulled out of bed. If you have to push your way out, it's too much work. It's too much effort always to have to push yourself out of bed. It's too hard.
Yeah.
We don't have the willpower. We need to be pulled out.
That's a good way to put it. I like that.
And the goals are going to pull you out of bed. They're going to just burst you out of bed, because it's like, you know why you're getting up, and you go to bed thinking about it, so that your mind all night it's like it's resting for the sole purpose of getting up to go do the thing you're meant to do.
Yeah.
So when your body's done resting, it's like, and you just explode and go.
So quick question here. This is from me, not from the audience, but we talked about the beautiful aspect of the three of us being like-minded, knowing what each other's goals are, knowing what we like. Do you recommend then that these people look at their contact list, look at the people they talk to, and go, okay, who's at that level with me? And let me share this with them so they can hold me accountable.
Yes, I do. But let me tell you,
okay,
I would say that you might have misspoke a little bit, because we don't know each other's goals around here all that well. We know the one super goal for the studio.
Yeah.
Because I've shared that, and we connected to it, and we all believe in that one big super goal. But to be honest, it's a waste of my time to share my goals with Brian if he hasn't done it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you got to find somebody, like you said, who's at the same level, somebody who wants it as bad as you do, who's going to run as hard as you are, because otherwise you'll end up getting defeated by trying too hard to push somebody to want something for somebody, but they got to want it for themselves.
Sure.
That's why I got so excited when Brian said he was taking responsibility for him, because I'm like, that's somebody I can help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm in. Like, everyone else was helping you when you wanted to just be helped, and I'm wanting to help when you want to help yourself. And I'm going, oh hell yeah, let me give you a better shovel.
Yeah.
That's my outlook on it. So
I love that.
So yes, you should find other people, and that will come in. We will talk a little bit about a mastermind group. I don't think tomorrow, but that'll be a topic we'll come up with here pretty soon.
Got you.
All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching. This has been the Mornings with Matt show, the Deering Acting Studio podcast. Thank you so much for watching, helping us spread this light-driven content to the planet. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content.